track is now clear at the skeleton start for our second of 4 Forerunner sleds. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Attention, spectators trackside, welcome out to the Utah Olympic Park. There's currently a sled in the track. That's sled 2 of 4 Forerunner sleds. Race day here in Park City, Utah. Beautiful sunny Saturday, snowy and sunny Saturday morning. Just a few safety reminders while you're with us here trackside. There's no standing on, climbing over, or under any fence or barricade that surrounds the track. The metal grates and wooden decks that surround the track are not for spectating. There should be no spectators on the wooden decks or metal grates that surround the track. Most importantly, never enter the track surface for any reason. That's for your safety and the safety of the athlete. I want you to enjoy your time here at the Utah Olympic Park. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for our third of 4 Forerunner sleds. Sledding track from the skeleton start. This is a 5-minute warning to the close of Men's Park for May. All sled work must be complete by 10 o'clock. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for our fourth and final Forerunner sled. Sledding track from the skeleton start. The track is our fourth and final Forerunner. This is going to be a 2-minute warning. to Kelly Delka at the skeleton start. 2-minute warning. The track is now clear at the skeleton start. Kelly Delka. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Kendall Wessenberg, stand by please. Today's race, race 5, North America's Cup, women's skeleton. Got 15 competitors for this first heat. First on the ice, Kelly Delka representing Puerto Rico. Off to a good start, 5.29 seconds. She heads into curve 6, that's snowy. Excellent line through 6, now 7, 80.9 miles an hour. Hits our speed trap right before the labyrinth curve. Excellent line through that 10-11 straightaway. Kelly Delka is going to be setting the bar for today's race. Maybe slightly different conditions, track conditions, than we had yesterday with that little bit of snow accumulation that we got this morning. Big shout out to our track crew for getting that all cleared and the ice ready to go. Kelly Delka, downtime 50.61 seconds. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Kendall Wessenberg. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Boncho Wang, stand by please. Representing the United States of America, we've got Kendall Wessenberg on the ice. Start time, 5.33 seconds. That puts her 400ths behind the pace. See if she can find some speed as she heads through 1, 2, 3, now 4. Excellent line out of Cutthroat, that's 5. 800ths behind the pace coming out of curve 6 and 7. 80.9 miles an hour. I think that matches our current leader, Kelly Delka's top speed. Good line through that 10-11 straightaway. She's now ahead of the pace, 300ths of a second. As she comes through the lower loop, through 12, 13. Now coming out of 14, 1700ths ahead of that pace. I think we've got a new leader, Kendall Wessenberg, crossing the finish line, 53.6, 53.6. New leader, Kendall Wessenberg, United States of America. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Guanzhou Wang. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Yeah, kid, stand by, please. Representing China, Guanzhou Wang, start time 5:07. That's a ballistic start time. Quarter second ahead of the pace. She heads through 3, now into 4. See if she can hold on to all that momentum as she goes through sunny. Now cutthroat into snowy. 3/10 ahead of the pace out of snowy. Hitting our speed trap 79.5 miles an hour. Not quite as much speed as Kendall Wessenberg was able to find through the labyrinth. They're now neck and neck, heading through 11. 300ths ahead of the pace. Now 800ths behind the pace, coming out of curve 14. Small brush, sliders right. Climbing curve 15, going to cross the finish line with a 51.16. 51.16. It's Guanzhou Wang back in third place at this time. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Leah Kidd. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Hannah Russworm, stand by, please. The track representing Great Britain, we've got Leah Kidd, start time 5:32. Puts her ahead of the pace by 100th of a second. She comes through 2, 3, now into sunny for 4. She's fallen back slightly, 800ths behind the pace as she comes out of curve 6. She's going to hit our speed trap out of curve 7, 78.8 miles an hour. Going right down the middle through that 10-11 straightaway. She enters curve 11. Nice line out of 11. Now into the Olympic curve. That's curve 12. Through Dinger 13. Get a little sideways out of Dinger. Some sparks shooting out of curve 14 as she brushes sliders right. Out of curve 14, crossing the finish line, the kid 51.65. 51.65. Back in fourth place. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Hannah Russworm. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Katie Tannenbaum, stand by, please. In the track representing Finland, we have Hannah Russworm. Start time 5:45. 5:45 puts her back about 1,500ths behind that pace. Spectators trackside, welcome out to the Utah Olympic Park. The shades are all open in the curve 12, the Olympic curve. That's going to be at the top of the lower loop. So if you're just joining us, keep going up that road to the top of the lower loop. Curve 12 is probably the best place to spectate. Hannah Russworm in the track. About a second behind the pace as she comes through 12, now 13. Top speed was 78.5 miles an hour. She exits 14, now 15. Crossing the finish line, Hannah Russworm, 52.69. Puts her in fifth place at this time. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Katie Tannenbaum. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Logan Woody, stand by please. Got Katie Tannenbaum in the track. Represents the Virgin Islands. Start time 5:40. Behind the pace by 7/100ths of a second. She heads through curve 2, 3, now out of 4. Nice line out of 4, now cutthroat, curve 5. She heads into Snowy. Excellent line out of Snowy. 79.8 miles an hour. Quarter second behind the pace. Where is she going to be in the standing? Maybe she can find some speed somewhere in this lower loop. Coming out of curve 11 now, dropping one toe out of 11. Excellent line out of 12, 13. About a half second behind the pace now. She comes out of Slingshot, 14. Climbing curve 15. That's our final curve on this track. Downtime for Katie Tannenbaum, 51.51. Puts her in 4th place at this time, a 51.51. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Logan Woody. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Isabella Fastnage, stand by please. In the track representing the United States of America, we have Logan Woody. Start time 5:50. 5:50 puts her back 17/100ths off the start. Good line out of curve 3 into Sunny, curve 4. 35/100ths now behind the pace. She drops a little bit of her toe coming out of cutthroat, curve 5. Getting a little bit sideways into 6. 78.3 miles an hour. Right down that middle of the 10-11 straightaway. Cruising through the labyrinth as she hits 11, now 12. A little late out of 12. Good line out of 13. Got a second behind the pace. Drives through the shady thicket, climbing our final curve, crossing the finish line. Logan Woody, 52.23. 52.23. That's going to put her in 6th place at this time. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Isabella Fastnage. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Yang Chi Su, stand by please. The track representing Great Britain, got Isabella Fastnage, start time 5:12. Puts her ahead of the pace, 0.2 of a second. Small brush, sliders right, coming out of curve 3. Excellent line out of Sunny. She's still got 0.3 of a second lead. Let's see what her speed is coming out of curve 7. Here she is. She hits the trap 79.9 miles an hour. Still has a quarter second lead, but that's not quite as much speed as our current leader, Kendall Wessenberg, was able to find out of that speed trap. The time to beat is the 53.6. That was Kendall Wessenberg, 53.6. In the track, Isabella Fastnage, falling back a quarter second through low point. Going to cross the finish line with a 58.8. 58.8 puts her in 3rd place unofficially at this time. 58.8. track is now clear at the skeleton start. Ming-Chi Su. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Lara Vargas, stand by please. Ming-Chi Su representing China, start time 5:08. Another really fast start time. That puts her ahead of that pace a quarter second. See if she can hold on to all that speed and momentum. She makes her way down this track of manicured ice. Excellent lines as she comes out of Cutthroat, snowy. 79.5 miles an hour. Still 5/100ths ahead of the pace. See if she can find more speed in the lower loop. She drops back now, 2/10. 2/10 back behind the pace. Coming through 12, now 13. 3/10 behind the pace. Exiting 14 with a small brush, sliders right at a curve 14. And across the finish line with a 51.32. 51.32, that puts her in 5th place, unofficially at this time. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Lara Vargas. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Shalonda Terry, stand by please. In the track representing Colombia, we have Lara Vargas, start time 5:33. Puts her neck and neck with our current leader, Kendall Wessenberg. Coming out of curve 3, small brush, sliders right. She's back behind the pace now, 8/100ths of a second, as she comes through Cutthroat. Small tap going into curve 6. She's got it under control, good lines out of 6, 7. 79.7 miles an hour. She heads through the labyrinth curve. Excellent line into curve 11 and out. 4,500ths now behind the pace as she goes through the Olympic curve. Now Dinger, 13. Huggins sliders right through low point. A little bit of a crossover as she enters curve 15. Downtime for Lara Vargas, 51.40. 51.40. It's going to put her in 6th place at this time. 5 sliders remain for Heat 1. The Women's North America's Cup, race number 5. Track is now clear at the skeleton start for Shalonda Terry. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Liesl Baker, stand by please. Representing the United States of America, we've got Shalonda Terry in the track. Start time, 5:19. 5:19 puts her ahead of the pace by 1/1500ths of a second. A little bit of a small brush coming out of curve 3 through that 3-4 straightaway. 1/10 of a second ahead of the pace, maybe a little bit of trouble getting into curve 6 there. See how that affects her downtime. Now 1/100th ahead of the pace, or correction, behind the pace. 79.4 miles an hour into the labyrinth. Good line coming out of 12 as she enters 13. 4/10 behind the pace, coming out of curve 14. Using all her speed and momentum to carry her across the finish line. 51.33 for Shalonda Terry. Puts her in 6th place unofficially at this time. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Liesl Baker. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Mackenzie Adams, stand by please. The track representing the United States of America, we've got Liesl Baker. Start time 5:32. 5:32 puts her 100th ahead of the pace. Goes right down the middle through the 3-4 straightaway. Coming out of sunny, excellent line through Cutthroat, now into snowy, curve 6. Going back a little bit, she's now 1,500ths behind the pace. She enters the labyrinth at 79.6 miles an hour. Today's race winners are going to be decided off the combined downtimes between heats 1 and 2. Combined downtime will decide your winner. The fastest sleds from heat 1 are going to go at the end of heat 2, reverse order by rank for heat 2. Liesl Baker crossing the finish line 51.42. 51.42 puts her in 8th place unofficially at this time. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Mackenzie Adams. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Hannah Gaskins, stand by please. In the track, racing for Canada, we've got Mackenzie Adams. Start time 5:84. 5:84. She makes her way through 1, 2, now into 3. Little bit of a brush, sliders right. She heads through curve 3. Top speed for Mackenzie Adams, 77.2 miles an hour. Makes her way through the labyrinth curves, exiting curve 10, right down the middle through the 10-11 straightaway. As she hits curve 11, she's 2 seconds behind the pace. Nice line coming out of 12, now 13. Excellent line out of 14. Maybe a small brush through low point. Going to finish with a downtime of 53.98. 53.98. Adam. 2 sleds remain for heat 1. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Hannah Gaskins. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Con Wynn, stand by please. In the track representing the United States of America, we have Hannah Gaskins. Start time 5:14. 5:14 puts her 2/10 ahead of the pace. She comes through 3. Small brush, sliders right out of curve 3. See if she can hold on to all that momentum. She comes out of curve 6. Big hit out of 6. That will definitely affect her downtime. She was 400ths ahead of the pace out of 6. Now she's fallen back 2/10. 2/10 behind the pace. 78 miles an hour. Now she exits curve 12. Now 13. Where will that put her in the standings? Little bit of a brush out of curve 14. Downtime for Hannah Gaskins, 51.48. 51.48. It's going to put her in 9th place unofficially at this time. 1 sled remains for heat 1. track is now clear at the skeleton start. Con win. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Bringing down the final sled for Heat 1. Got Con Win of Vietnam. Start time 5-7-1. 5-7-1. She heads through 1-2. Little brush headed into 3. Keeps it off the wall in the 3-4 straightaway as she heads down Sunny. Curve 4. Now cutthroat. Excellent line into Snowy. She's back about a full second behind the pace. She comes out of the labyrinth curve, 76.9 miles an hour. Excellent line through the 10-11 straightaway. Dropping toes a little bit out of curve 12, trying to regain control of that sled through 13. Little bit sideways coming out of 14. 2.5 seconds behind the pace, crossing the finish line, 53.51. 53.51. Going to put her in 14th this time. Let's recap. After our first heat, your unofficial top 6 at this time. In 6th place, we've got Shalonda Terry of the United States of America, that 51.33. In 5th, Ying Chi-Su of China with a 51.32. In 4th, Gan Shou Wang of China with a downtime of 51.16. In 3rd, Isabella Fastnage with a 58.8. In 2nd, Kelly Delka of Puerto Rico with a 56.1. And your leader after the first heat, Kendall Wessenberg of the United States of America with a 53.6. This will be a 15-minute warning, approximate 15-minute warning. We start back up with our 4 runners before the men's heat 1. We're going to have 2 4-runner sleds. This is about a 15-minute warning. This is a 10-minute warning, 10-minute warning to our first 2 forerunners, 10-minute warning. Also a 15-minute warning to our first competitive sled. 15-minute warning to the first competitive sled. The 5-minute warning, 5-minute warning. To our first of 2 forerunner sleds, 10-minute warning, 10-minute warning to our first competitive sled. 2-minute warning, 2-minute warning to our first of 2 4-runner sleds. 2-minute warning. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for our first of 2 4-runner sleds. Sledding track from the skeleton start. That's our first of 2 4-runner sleds. Hitting the ice now. Spectators, trackside, welcome out to the Utah Olympic Park. Currently a sled in the track, and we'll be sending sleds throughout the remainder of the day. Just a few safety reminders. No standing on, climbing over, or leaning under any fence or barricade that surrounds the track. Those metal grates and wooden decks that surround the track are for coaches and athletes only. There should be no spectating on the metal grates or wooden decks that surround the track. Most importantly, never enter the track surface for any reason. Finally, spectators. Best place to spectate is probably curve 12. We've got all the shades open in curve 12 for spectators. Crossing the finish line, that's our first of 2 4-runner sleds. Big shout out to those 4-runners. They help make sure that timing system's all ready to go. Those ice. Big thanks to all our 4. Track is now clear at the skeleton start. Racy Auto. Our second and final 4-runners. Sledding track from the skeleton start. This is a 2-minute warning. Lawrence Bostock at the skeleton start, our first competitive sled. 2-minute warning. is now clear at the skeleton start for Lawrence Postock. Sled and track from the skeleton start. Lucas, Viet, stand by please. Track bringing down the first sled, first of 31 competitors. Today's North America's Cup Race 5 men's skeleton. We've got Lawrence Postock representing Great Britain. Start time 4:70. 4:70, that is an extremely fast start time. Lawrence Postock, 81.1 miles an hour. Hits the labyrinth. Down 10-11 straightaway, holding on to that sliders right. I think he's able to keep it off the wall. Excellent line through 11. He's got a ton of momentum coming through 12, now 13. Top speed was 81.1. He's holding on to a lot of that as he climbs our final curve of the track, crossing the finish line 50.07. 50.07, setting a high bar for today's race. First sled down for the men's skeleton, Lawrence Postock, Great Britain, 50.07. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Lucas Defiet. Sled and track from the skeleton start. Lin Wei Peng, stand by please. In the track representing France, Lucas Defiet. Start time 4:82. 4:82 puts him back 12 hundredths. Small brush, sliders right, coming out of curve 3. He's back 13 hundredths, coming out of cutthroat into curve 6. Excellent line through 6, now 7. Top speed 81.8 miles an hour. He's actually gaining. He's ahead of the pace by 1/10 of a second. Now as he hits the lower loop, coming out of curve 11. Excellent line out of the Olympic curve, curve 12. About a half a second ahead of the pace. See if he can hold on to that as he comes out of 14, climbing up low point, crossing the finish line. Lucas Defiet, downtime 49.18. We've got a new leader, Lucas Defiet, France, 49.18. The track is now clear at the skeleton start. Lin Wei Peng. Sled and track from the skeleton start. Bin Gang Yan, stand by please. In the track representing Chinese Taipei, Lin Wei Peng. Start time 4:83. 4:83 coming out of curve 3. Hugging sliders right, keeping it off of the short wall. Excellent line out of 4, now 5. In the snowy, 5 hundredths behind the pace. Top speed 80.9 miles an hour. Not quite as much speed as our current leader, Lucas Defiet, was able to find into the labyrinth. 3/10 behind the pace now as he comes out of curve 12. Now 13. Excellent driving. Comes right down the middle through 13, maybe getting a little bit sideways. Crossing the finish line, Lin Wei Peng, 50.06. 50.06. Going to put him unofficially in second place. Pushing Lawrence Postock back by 100 of a second. 50.06. is now clear at the skeleton start. Win Gang Yan. I'll give him a new green light. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Win Gang Yan. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Jacob Salisbury, stand by please. Track representing China, we've got Win Gang Yan. Start time 4:67. That is the fastest start time we've seen so far today. Win Gang Yan, head of the pace, 0.3 of a second. Coming through Cutthroat, now into Snowy. Excellent line out of Snowy, now curve 7. 82.5 miles an hour. This is the fastest sled we've seen so far today. See if he can hold on to all that speed and momentum as he comes up on our lower loop. Now exiting curve 12. Little brush out of 12. Got both feet on the ice out of 13. Excellent line out of 14. Still 0.3 ahead of the pace. Climbs the final third of the track. We've got a new leader, Win Gang Yan of China. 48.94. 48.94. New leader, 48.94. Is now clear at the skeleton start. Jacob Salisbury. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Nicholas Timmings, stand by please. In the track representing Great Britain, we've got Jacob Salisbury. Start time, another really fast start time. 4.66. 4.66. That puts him ahead of the pace by 1/100th of a second, but he's already lost that. He's now back 400ths as he comes out of curve 6. Now 700ths behind the pace as he hits our speed trap at 81.4 miles an hour. That's a fast sled right down the middle of the 10-11 straightaway. Back about a quarter second behind Win Gang Yan, our current leader. He had the 48.94. That's going to be the time to beat. 48.94. Little bit of a brush coming out of 14 on sliders left. Crossing the finish line, Jacob Salisbury, 49.25. 49.25 is going to put him unofficially in third place at this time. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Nicholas Timmings. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Andrew Whittier, stand by please. Sliding for Australia, we've got Nicholas Timmings on the ice. Start time 4.82. 4.82. Makes his way through curve 3. Right down the middle through the 3-4 straightaway. 0.3 of a second behind the pace. See if he can find some speed somewhere on this track. Excellent line out of Snowy. Going to hit our speed trap 81.4 miles an hour. Now at the Labyrinth. Right down the middle through that 10-11 straightaway. Excellent form coming out of 11 into curve 12, the Olympic curve. During the 2002 Olympic Games, the Olympic rings were embedded into the ice there in curve 12. Nicholas Timmings bringing it up Curve 15, get across the finish line with a 49.37. 49.37. It's going to put him in fourth place at this time. Track is now clear at the skeleton start. Andrew Whittier. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Chung Hung Chang, stand by please. In the track, sliding to the United States of America, Andrew Whittier. Start time 4.70. 4.70. Puts him back 0.07 of a second. Now as he comes in at curve 4. Good line out of 4. Now 5 into snowy, curve 6. He's back 0.13 coming out of 6 and 7. 82.1 miles an hour. This is a fast sled. We'll see what he can do with that speed as he hits the lower loop. Andrew Whittier, he's got a lot of experience on this track. See if he can bring it all together. Fast pass here through the lower loop. Excellent line out of 13. Big brush, sliders right out of 14. That'll affect his downtime, but it's enough. By 1/100th of a second, we have a new leader. Andrew Whittier, downtime 48.93. 48.93 puts him in first place by 1/100th of a second at this time. Andrew Whittier, United States of America, our new leader, 48.93. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Chung Hung Chang. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Jared Firestone, stand by please. Representing Chinese Taipei, we've got Chung Hung Chang. Start time 5:06. 5:06 as he heads into curve 3. Hugging that sliders right out of 3, maybe dropping a toe to regain a little bit of control coming out of 3. Excellent lines into 6, now 7. Top speed 80.5 miles an hour. Just like the women's race, the men's race is also based off of the combined downtime between heats 1 and 2. The fastest sleds from heat 1 go at the end of heat 2, so it's reverse order by rank for heat 2. Got 31 competitors for the men today's race. Chung Hung Chang, sled 8. He's going to cross the finish line with a 50.50. 50.50. Going to put him in 8th place. Spectators, best place to spectate is going to be curve 12. I'm going to have to ask you to stay off of those wooden decks that surround the track. No spectating at that junior finish. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Jared Firestone. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Oh, King Hughes, stand by please. The track representing Israel, we've got Jared Firestone. Start time 4.91. 4.91 puts him back quarter second as he comes out of curve 3. Now into Sunny, Cutthroat. Good lines out of Cutthroat into curve 6. Time to beat's 48.93. 48.93. He's about 0.4 behind that pace. 0.4 of a second behind that pace as he enters the labyrinth. 81.5 miles an hour. Good line out of 11. Comes up to the Olympic curve. Now, Dinger, that's 13. Half a second behind the pace. Where's that going to put him in the standing? Hugging sliders right through the shady thicket. Crossing the finish line, 49.73. That's going to put him in 6th place at this time. Jared Firestone, 49.73. Track is now clear at the skeleton start. O King U. Sledded track from the skeleton start. Dean Bensley, stand by please. Representing China, we've got O King U. Start time 4.77. 4.77 puts him 7 hundredths behind the pace. Small tap, sliders right, coming out of curve 3. Got it under control, excellent line out of 5 into curve 6. 15 hundredths behind the pace, 80.8 miles an hour. Number 11. Hold on 3/10 behind the pace. Comes out of 13. Dropping single toe. Now 6/10 behind the pace. Across the finish line with a 49.55. 49.55. Going to put him in 6th place unofficially at this time. Track is now clear at the skeleton start for Kane Densley. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Sebastian Rainier, stand by please. Track representing Great Britain. We've got Kane Densley. Start time 4.73. Maybe went a little early in curve 1. Those early mistakes can really affect your downtime here on this track. Behind the pace by 0.3 of a second. As he hits our speed trap out of curve 7 at 79.7 miles an hour. Excellent line and form through that 10-11 straightaway. Comes out of curve 11 now into the Olympic curve. Formed out a second time that pace. Pace was set by Andrew Whittier, 48.93. That's going to be the time to beat, the 48.93. Kane Densley crossing the finish line, 58.8. 58.8 is going to put him back in 11th place at this time. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Sebastian Rainier. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Mark Lynch, stand by please. Sliding for Canada, we've got Sebastian Rainier on the ice. Start time 4.70. That puts him neck and neck with our current leader, who also had a 4.70 start time. Sebastian Rainier makes his way out of Cutthroat into Snow. Back now. He's back about a quarter second. A little bit of a drift out of curve 7. Small tap on that short wall. dropped his top speed to 78.9 miles an hour. Back about a second as he comes out of curve 13. That's Dinger. Through slingshot, right down the middle through low point. Final curve of the track's uphill, crossing the finish line, 51.24. 51.24, going to put him in 12th at this time. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Mark Lynch. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Kevin Heng Lee, stand by please. Mark Lynch sliding for Canada on the ice. Start time 4:92. 4:92. Puts him back 0.3 of a second. Heads through Sunny. Good lines out of Sunny. Cutthroat, now into Snowy. Sport skeleton as well as bobsled is measured to the 100th of a second. Luge is measured to 1,000th. Mark Lynch, top speed 80.4 miles an hour. Comes out of curve 11. Good line through the Olympic curve as he hits Dinger. Excellent line through Dinger. Coming up through low point. Across the finish line with a 51.9. That puts him in 10th place. Mark Lynch, Canada, 51.9. Track is now clear at the skeleton start. Kevin Heng Lee. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Jeff Bauer, stand by please. Representing Chinese Taipei, Kevin Heng Lee. Start time 4:96. It's through curve 3. A quarter second behind the pace. Good lines through this upper part of the track. This is way through curve 6. 0.6 behind the pace. Top speed 78.9 miles an hour. Got 31 competitors for this Heat 1 Men's Skeleton North America's Cup Race 5. Kevin Heng Lee, sled 14, is on the ice. Excellent line out of 13. About a second and a half behind the pace. Across the finish line with a 51.02. 51.02 puts him in 13th at this time. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Jeff Bauer. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Jonathan Yaw, stand by please. Representing Luxembourg, we've got Jeff Bauer on the ice. Start time 5:09, 5.09 seconds. Good line through 3 into 4. 0.7 behind the pace. Comes out of Snowy. That's curve 6. Good line through 7 into the Labyrinth. The Labyrinth is a series of short, quick, right and left-hand turns. Every track in the world has a labyrinth. Top speed for Jeff Bauer, 80.4 miles an hour. Drops a toe out of curve 13. Good line out of 14. Get across the finish line with a 55.5. 55.5 is going to put him in 12th place at this time. Spectators, I'd encourage you to head up to curve 12. That's at the top of the lower loop. Got all our shades open for spectating in curve 12. Definitely going to be the best place to spectate. We ask you not to lean under those shades that surround the track or climb over any fence or barricade. The track is now clear at the skeleton start. Jonathan Yaw. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Braden Puslesny, stand by please. Track sliding for Malaysia. Jonathan Yaw, start time 5 seconds flat. 5 seconds flat, heads through 2, now 3. Good line out of curve 3. Back about 86 hundredths. Comes out of curve 5, 6. Gonna hit our speed trap. Goes through curve 7, 80.3 miles an hour. Where's that going to put him in the standings? If he can hold on to all that momentum, looking to take over one of those top spots. Our current leader is Andrew Whittier of the United States of America. He had a 48.93. A 48.93. That's going to be the time to beat. Jonathan Yaw, he's back about a second and a half. Heads through the low point of the track. That's the long straightaway. And it's the lowest point on the track. After the low point, climb up curve 15. Jonathan Yaw is going to cross the finish line with a 57.8. 57.8. It's going to put him in 13th at this time. Track is now clear at the skeleton start for Braden Puslesny. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Matthew Alvarez, stand by. Sliding for Canada, we've got Braden Puslesny. Start time, 4.85. 4.85 puts him behind the pace, 15 hundredths. Coming through 3. Now into 4, he's back 3,600. Good line out of 4. 5. Little bit sideways as he comes out of curve 5, going into 6. It's under control out of 6, 7. Small tap out of curve 7. Top speed, 77.5 miles an hour. Good line through the labyrinth. It's through the 10-11 straightaway. Excellent line out of 11. Still holding on to lots of momentum as he climbs the final curve of the track. Going to cross that finish line with a 51.67. 51.67 is going to put him in 17th at this time. Track is now clear at the skeleton start. Matthew Alvarez. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Tyler Lutz, stand by please. Track sliding for Great Britain, we've got Matthew Alvarez. Start time, 4.72. Puts him back only 200ths of a second. See if he can hold on to that speed he got, that fast start time. Coming out of curve 5, he's only back 600ths. 600ths. Excellent line out of 6, 7. That's going to give him some speed. 81.4 miles an hour. Now through the 10-11 straightaway. back 1600s. See if he can find some speed in the lower loop. Great line through 11, 12. Little high coming out of 13. Puts him sideways as he goes into 14. It's under control. Excellent exit of 14. About a half a second behind the pace. Going to cross the finish line with a 49.56. 49.56 puts him in 7th place at this time. 100th off from 6th place, which is currently held by Go King Yu of China. 49.56 for Matthew Alvarez. Track is now clear at the skeleton start for Tyler Lutz. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Warren Milstein, stand by please. Track sliding for the United States of America, we've got Tyler Lutz. Start time 4:70. 4:70. That's the same start time our current leader, Andrew Whittier, had. 4:70. He's fallen back a little bit, 0.3 of a second as he comes into curve 6. Excellent line through 6, now 7, 79.1 miles an hour. Not quite as much speed as Andrew Whittier was able to find. We'll see if it's enough to take over one of those top spots. Break into the top 6, you need a 49.55, a 49.55. Tyler Lutz coming out of curve 14. Little bit of a brush. Sliders right. Dropping toe slightly as he climbs that final curve of the track. Crossing the finish line, 59.1. 59.1, that's going to put him in 16th place at this time. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Warren Milstein. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Nicholas Brooks, stand by please. On the ice, we've got Warren Milstein representing Israel. Start time 5:10. Coming through the labyrinth now, 78.7 miles an hour. Excellent line out of curve 10. After 11 into the Olympic curve, curve 12. Little high out of 12. It's under control out of 13. Through the long straightaway at the bottom of the track. Warren Milstein crossing the finish line, 51.50. Going to put him in 19th at this time. Track is now clear at the skeleton start. Nick Brooks. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Massimo Artizzoni, stand by please. Trouble on the ramp. Nicholas Brooks popped a groove as he hopped onto his sled off the block. That'll certainly affect his downtime. We'll see if he's able to make up any of that speed. His start time was a 5:04, But He was brushing that wall as he went down the ramp, starting ramp. Good line. Through the 10-11 straightaway. He's back about a second and a half. Comes out of 13. Good line out of 14. Goes right down the middle through the 10-11 straightaway. Crossing the finish line, Nick Brooks, United States of America, 59.5. 59.5 is going to put him in 17th at this time. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Massimo Artizzoni. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Quasi Frimpong, stand by please. The track sliding for Canada, Massimo Artizzoni, start time 4:90. 4:90 puts him back 0.2 of a second. 0.2 of a second. Heads through 3. Now Sunny through 4. Excellent lines through 4. 5 now into 6. Behind the pace, half a second coming out of curve 7. 80.3 miles an hour. Good lines through 12. Now into 13. Behind the pace by a full second coming out of 14. Where's that going to put him in the standings? Climbs the final curve of the track. He's going to cross the finish line with a 54.9. 54.9 puts him in 12th place at this time. Massimo Artizzoni of Canada, 54.9. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for a Quasi Frimpong. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Howie Gonsalves, stand by please. In the track representing Ghana, we've got Quasi Frimpong. Start time 4:80. 4:80 comes through 1, 2, 3. Puts him back 0.2 of a second. Goes through Cutthroat into Snowy. Quarter second behind the pace. Exit 6, now 7. It's our speed trap at 79.9 miles an hour. Good line through 10-11. A little late out of 11. It's all under control by 12, maybe dropping a toe out of 12. Good form out of 14. Got a lot of speed and momentum carrying him up that final curve of the track. Crosses the finish line with a 52.9. 52.9. Going to put him in 12th place at this time. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Howie Gonsalves. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Dylan Burris, stand by please. In the track representing Brazil, Howie Gonsalves, start time 5:21. 5-2-1. He makes his way through 1, 2, 3. Coming through curve 4. Good line through cutthroat 5 into snowy. Curva in heavy. Excellent line. Coming out of the 10-11 straightaway. 77.5 miles an hour. Enters the Olympic curve. Passing all of our spectators on site. Little brush sliders right coming out of 14. Sent some sparks off that wall. Crossing the finish line, Howie Gonsalves, 52-2-2. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Dylan Burris. Sled in track from the skeleton start. David Morales, stand by please. The track sliding for the United States of America. Dylan Burris, start time 4:85. 4:85 behind the pace by 0.15 of a second. Goes through 3. Now 4. Half a second behind the pace. The exits. Cutthroat. Into snowy. Good line out of curve 7. 77.5 miles an hour. Puts him back about a second ahead of the pace. Behind the pace. Andrew Whittier is our current leader with a 48.93. That's going to be the time to beat. That's the pace. 48.93. Dylan Burris is back about 2 seconds. Climbs that final curve of the track. Across the finish line with a 51.34. 51.34. It's going to put him in 22nd at this time. Spectators trackside. Welcome out to Utah Olympic Park. Few rules over here trackside. There's no standing on, climbing over, or leaning under any fence, barricade, or shade that surrounds the track. Please no throwing objects at or around the track. And most importantly, never enter the track surface for any reason. The track is now clear at the skeleton start. David Morales. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Simon Salisbury, stand by please. The track representing Mexico, we've got David Morales. Start time 6:80. 6:80. Just joining us, spectators. We're down to our final 5 sliders for Heat 1 for the men's North America's Cup Race 5 skeleton race. This is Heat 1. The race results will be based off the combined down times between Heats 1 and 2. Heat 2 is reverse order by rank, so your fastest sleds from Heat 1 go at the end of Heat 2. In the track, David Morales, Mexico. Top speed 71.8 miles an hour. Comes out of curve 14. Just a small brush, sliders left out of 14. Get across the finish line with a 58.66. 58.66. Track is now clear at the skeleton start for Simon Salisbury. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Bradley Nichols, stand by please. The track sliding for Canada, we've got Simon Salisbury, start time 4:92. 4:92, exits curve 3. Getting a little bit sideways as he enters curve 4. 76 hundredths behind the pace. Good line out of Snowy. Now 76.9 miles an hour. Right down the middle through the 10-11 straightaway. Curve 11. Excellent exit out of 11. Now the Olympic curve. Straight line through 12-13. He's going to come up to slingshot now. Brushes that sliders right out of 14. Got it under control coming out of 15. Going to cross the finish line with a 51.76. 51.76. The track is now clear at the skeleton start. Bradley Nichols. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Tyler Madel, stand by please. In the track representing the United States of America, Bradley Nichols, start time 4:83. 4:83 puts him back a quarter second as he comes out of curve 3. Good line out of Sunny. Now Cutthroat. Snowy, curve 6. Excellent line out of 6, now 7. Picking up a little bit of speed, 81 miles an hour, 81 miles an hour into the labyrinth. Good line going into 11. Time to beats 48.93s, back about half a second from that pace. Good lines through 12, 13, now coming out of 14. Huggins sliders right, looks like he's able to keep it off of the short wall. Crossing the finish line, 49.73, Bradley Nichols, United States of America. That puts him in 8th place, tied with Jared Firestone. Both of them had a 49.73. Got a tie for 8th, 49.73. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Tyler Madel. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Jesse Planti, stand by please. In the track sliding for the United States of America, Tyler Madel, start time 4:88. 4:88 puts him back 0.2 of a second. He's fallen a little further now, 41 hundredths behind the pace coming through Cutthroat. Small corrections, just dropping his toe, steering in and out of these curves. Excellent lines through the labyrinth, 79.2 miles an hour. A little early into 12. High in 12, coming out of 12 hard. Good exit out of 13. It's all under control by 14. Small scrape, sliders right, then left, back to right. Crossing the finish line, Tyler Madel, 51.64. 51.64. The track is now clear at the skeleton start. Jesse Planti. Sled in track from the skeleton start. bringing down the final sled for Heat 1 Men's Skeleton Race North America Cup. Number 5, Jesse Plante of Canada. Start time 4:88. 4:88. Makes his way through 1, 2, 3. Coming out of 4. Good line. 7/10 behind the pace. Exiting curve 6. Big hit out of 6. Good line into the labyrinth. 75.3 miles an hour. That big hit out of 6 cost him some speed and momentum. We'll see if he can make any of that up in the lower loop. You can get a speed boost out of 13 and slingshot, especially 14. Good line out of 14. Small brush, sliders left. Crossing the finish line, 52.44. 52.44. Attention, athletes, coaches, officials, and spectators trackside. It's going to be a brief pause in sliding as we shuttle our athletes back to the skeleton start. We're going to start again at 11:55 with our forerunners. That's just under 20 minutes away. 11:55. Send our first of 2 forerunners. The 15-minute warning. 15-minute warning to our first of 2 forerunner sleds. 15-minute warning. 10-minute warning, 10-minute warning to our first of 2 4Runner sleds, 10 minutes. a 5-minute warning, 5-minute warning, till we start back up with our Forerunner sleds. 5-minute warning. Two-minute warning, 2-minute warning for our first of 2 Forerunner sleds. 2-minute warning. Attention at the Skeleton Start. Park for May, Ladies Park for May is now closed. It is 11:55. Ladies Park for May is now closed. Track is now clear at the Skeleton Start for our first of 2 Forerunner sleds. Start. Sledding track from the Skeleton Start. Attention spectators, trackside. In the track, we've got our first of 2 Forerunner sleds. We're going to be sending sleds throughout the remainder of the day. Just a few safety reminders. There should be no standing on, sitting on, climbing over, or leaning under any fence or barricade that surrounds the track. No throwing objects at or around the track. That includes snowballs. No snowballs at or around the track. Most importantly, never enter the track surface for any reason. It's going to be for your safety and the safety of our athletes. Enjoy your time here at the Utah Olympic Park. Track is now clear at the skeleton start for our second and final Forerunner sled. Sled in track from the skeleton start. About 2 minutes out, there's going to be a 2-minute warning to our first competitive sled. It's going to be Mackenzie Adams at the skeleton start. 2-minute warning. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Mackenzie Adams. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Con Win, stand by please. Bringing down the first sled for Heat 2, we've got Mackenzie Adams in the track, representing Canada. Start time, 5.74. 5.74, makes her way down out of 3. Small brush, sliders right at a curve 3. Heat 2 is reverse order by rank, so our fastest sleds from Heat 1 go at the end of Heat 2. That should mean we see a lot of leader changes throughout Heat 2. Mackenzie Adams, she's going to be setting the bar for combined downtime after her second run here. Excellent line out of 13. She hit 76.7 miles an hour. Now she crosses low point. Long straightaway at the bottom of the track. Crossing the finish line, Mackenzie Adams, 54.02. 54.02. Combined downtime, 1 minute, 4.800. Track is now clear at the skeleton start. Con Win. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Hannah Russ Swerm, stand by please. The track representing Vietnam, we have Con Win. Start time, 5.74. She needs a 54.49 to hold on to her position. She's 4/10 of a second ahead of that pace. 15 sleds in the second heat. 15 sliders competing for those top spots. On win. Currently a half a second ahead of the pace. She makes her way down the 10-11 straightaway. 78 miles an hour. Excellent driving through 12-13. Small brush coming out of 14. Climbing the final curve of the track, she's going to cross the finish line with a 52.94. 52.94. We have a new leader with a combined downtime of 1 minute 4.645. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Hannah Russworm. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Logan Woody, stand by please. The track representing Finland. Hannah Russworm, start time 5:49. She needs a 53.76 to take over the top spot. Hold on to her position, not drop any spots. She's a little over a second ahead of that pace. She makes her way through Cutthroat. Now Snowy. Excellent line out of Snowy. Little high coming out of 7, but it looks good through the rest of the labyrinth. 78.4 miles an hour. Right down the middle through that 10-11 straightaway. Excellent line. She's looking to climb a position or two as she comes out of curve 12, now 13. About a second and a half ahead of the pace. Makes her way down through low point, crossing the finish line, 52.17. Combined downtime, 1 minute 4.486. The track is now clear at the skeleton start. Logan Woody. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Leah Kidd, stand by please. Representing the United States of America, we've got Logan Woody in the track. Start time, 5:36. She needs a 52.63 to hold on to her position. Last run, she did a 52.23. About 7/10 of a second ahead of the pace, coming out of curve 6. Nice line out of 7, 79 miles an hour. Excellent line through the labyrinth. 77 hundredths ahead of the pace. Great line through the Olympic curve, maybe slightly high. Heads into curve 13. Good exit of 14. Hugging sliders right, but she's keeping it off the wall. She crosses the finish line with a 51.64. 51.64. Taking over the top spot with a combined downtime, 1 minute 4.387. Track is now clear at the skeleton start. Yeah, Kid. Sled and track from the skeleton start. Katie Tannenbaum, stand by, please. In the track representing Great Britain, we've got Leah Kidd. Start time 5:39. She needs a 52.22 to hold on to her position. Last run, she did a 51.65. Going to be looking to match that. Makes her way down. Snowy. Good line out of Snowy. And curve 7, 79.5 miles an hour. 79.5 miles an hour as she comes down the 10-11 straightaway. Excellent line through 11. Little high, puts her high in 12. Good line coming through 12 and 13. She's got it all under control. She comes out of curve 14. Little sideways through low point. Going to cross the finish line with a 51.96. 51.96. She holds on to her position with a combined downtime 1 minute, 4:3.61. Track is now clear at the skeleton start. Katie Tannenbaum. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Hannah Gaskins, stand by, please. In the track representing the Virgin Islands, we have Katie Tannenbaum. Start time 5:39. 5:39, she makes her way through 1, 2, now 3. Small brush, sliders right, coming out of curve 3. She's ahead of the pace by 0.15 of a second. She needs a 52.10. 52.10 to hold on to her position. She's now 0.09 ahead of that pace. This is going to be a close one. Now 0.07 as she comes into the labyrinth at 78.6 miles an hour. Falling back slightly. 0.03 behind the pace as she comes out of curve 11. Good line through 11, now 12, 13. 0.09 behind the pace. She'll need to find some speed out of Slingshot. Excellent line out of Slingshot. That might be enough. That might be enough as she crosses the finish line at 51.64. 51.64. Holds on to her position with a combined downtime 1 minute, 4:3.15. Track is now clear at the skeleton start for Hannah Gaskins. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Liesl Baker, stand by, please. Track representing the United States of America, we have Hannah Gaskins. Start time 5:15. She's ahead of the pace by 0.3 of a second. Makes her way out of Sunny for 4. Good line out of Sunny. Quarter second ahead of the pace, headed into 6. She needs a 51.67 to hold on to her position. Last run, she did a 51.48. Good lines into the labyrinth, 78.3 miles an hour. And out of 11. Now the Olympic curve, curve 12. Little trouble out of 12. Good line through Dinger, maybe brushing sliders right, entering curve 14. Coming out of 14, another tap sliders right. See if that affects her downtime. We have a tie. We have a tie for first. Hannah Gaskins, 51.67. Gives her a combined downtime of 1 minute, 4:3.15. That ties with Katie Tannenbaum's 1 minute, 4:3.15. Current tie for the leader. Hannah Gaskins, Katie Tannenbaum. Track is now clear at the skeleton start for Liesl Baker. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Lara Vargas, stand by, please. In the tracks, racing for the United States of America, we've got Liesl Baker. Start time, 5:31. She needs a 51.73. Take over that top spot from our current leaders, tied for first, Katie Tannenbaum and Hannah Gaskins. Liesl Baker, last run, she did a 51.42. 51.42, and she needs a 51.73. She's 13 hundredths ahead of that pace. She makes her way through the 10-11 straightaway. Small brush, sliders left, headed into 11. 78.9 miles an hour. Big hit out of 12. Sends her high in 13. That's going to affect her downtime. She's only 2 hundredths ahead of the pace. It's not going to be enough. She slides along the short wall. Sliders right out of 14. 52.53 for Liesl Baker. That drops her back to 5th place with a combined downtime. 1 minute, 4:3.95. Track is now clear at the skeleton start for Lara Vargas. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Shalonda Terry, stand by, please. In the track, sliding for Columbia, we have Lara Vargas. Start time, 5:35. She needs a 51.75. Take over that top spot. She's 15 hundredths ahead of that pace. Last run, she did a 51.40. Looking to match that. 1/10 ahead of the pace coming out of curve 7 at 78.8 miles an hour. 12 hundredths ahead of the pace. Right down the middle through the 10-11 straightaway. Excellent line going into 11. Now into 12, the Olympic curve. Good exit out of 12. Now Dinger, 13. 2/10 ahead of the pace now. She comes out of curve 14. Lots of momentum and speed. Quarter second ahead of the pace. She crosses the finish line with a 51.48. 51.48, taking over the top spot. Combined downtime, 1 minute, 4:2.88. Track is now clear at the skeleton start. Shalonda Terry. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Eng-Chi Su, stand by, please. The track sledding for the United States of America, Shalonda Terry. Start time, 5:14. That puts her ahead of the pace by 0.3 of a second. Little tap coming out, sliders right of curve 3. Puts her back, she's now a quarter second ahead of the pace. Makes her way out of Snowy into curve 7. She crosses the speed trap at 78.3 miles an hour. Still 0.2 of a second ahead of the pace. But she's falling back slowly. Now 1/10 ahead of the pace as she makes her way into curve 12. 6 hundredths ahead of the pace. Is it going to be enough? Hold on to her position, not drop any spots. She's now neck and neck with our current leader, Lara Vargas. Going to cross the finish line with a 51.61. Not quite enough to take over the top spot. That drops her back 1 position. She's in second currently with a combined downtime of 1 minute, 4:2.94. Spectators, trackside, can't have anybody spectating on the wooden dock there at the junior finish. Best place to spectate is curve 12. We've got all the shades open in curve 12. Track is now clear at the skeleton start for Eng-Chi Su. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Wan Shou Wang, stand by please. In the track representing China, Yang Chisu, start time 5:10. She needs a 51.56. Hold on to her position. Take over the top spot. She's 0.3 of a second ahead of that pace, dropping one toe out of curve 4. Now 1/4 second ahead of the pace coming out of Snowy, curve 6. Excellent line through 7, 77.9 miles an hour. Maybe not quite as much speed as Laura Vargas was able to find, but she's still got a lead of 0.09 of a second. Coming out of the Olympic curve, curve 12, she's fallen back. Now 0.15 behind the pace. She'll need to find some speed out of Slingshot, curve 14. Good line coming up out of 15. 51.95, that drops her back to 5th place at this time. Yang Chisu, China, combined downtime 1 minute, 4:3.27. Track is now clear at the skeleton start. Wan Shou Wang. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Isabella Fastnage, stand by please. Sliding for China, Wan Shou Wang, start time 5:07. 5:07 puts her half a second ahead of the pace. Little tap coming out of curve 3, sliders right. Good line out of 4, now cutthroat 5. Ahead of the pace by almost 0.7 of a second. Top speed 78.7 miles an hour. Excellent line into the 10-11 straightaway. She needs a 51.72. Hold on to her position, take over the top spot, 51.72. Last run, she did a 51.16. 51.16. Excellent line coming out of 13. Now, brushing sliders right out of 14. It's enough to take over the top spot, 51.25. 51.25. Combined downtime 1 minute, 4:2.41. 3 sleds remain for Heat 2, Women's North America's Cup, Race 5. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Isabella Fastnage. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Kelly Delka, stand by please. Sliding for Great Britain, we've got Isabella Fastnage. She was the 3rd fastest sled from run number 1. Start time 5:11. Makes her way through 1, 2, 3, now into 4. 0.3 of a second ahead of the pace. She needs a 51.53. Hold on to that spot. 51.53. Last run, she did a 58.8. Got a good-looking line coming into the labyrinth at 80 miles an hour. 80 miles an hour, she comes out of curve 11. Small brush headed into curve 12. Good line out of 12, now into Dinger. Still a half second ahead of the pace. Little brush, sliders right out of 14. We saw some sparks on the short wall. A little late out of 15, but it's all under control. 51.00 downtime. Taking over the top spot, Isabella Fastnage, Great Britain. Combined downtime 1 minute, 4:1.88. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Kelly Delka. Sled and track from the skeleton start. Kendall Wessenberg, stand by, please. In the track racing for Puerto Rico, we've got Kelly Delta. Start time 5:28. She needs a 51.27 to hold on to her position. She's neck and neck with our current leader, Isabella Fastnage. Last run, Kelly Delta did a 56.1. 56.1. She is 300ths ahead of the pace. Coming out into the labyrinth. 80.5 miles an hour. Very fast sled through that 10-11 straightaway. Kelly Delka 1/10 ahead of the pace. Coming out of 13. It's close, it's close. I think she's got it right down the middle through low point. Excellent line up through 15. Crossing the finish line, 54.6. 54.6 puts her in first place with a combined downtime 1 minute 4:1:07. One sled remains. One sled remains. The track is now clear at the skeleton start. Kendall Wessenberg. Sled and track from the skeleton start. Bringing down the final sled for Heat 2, we've got Kendall Wessenberg, United States of America. Start time 5:31. 5:31. She's ahead of the pace by 0.2 of a second. She needs a 57.1. A 57.1 to take home that top spot. Last run, she did a 53.6. Excellent line out of Snowy. Now of curve 7. 80.8 miles an hour. This is the fastest sled we've seen for Heat 2. 80.8 miles an hour. She comes out of curve 11. 0.3 ahead of the pace out of 12. Excellent line through Dinger. She comes up to curve 14. Slingshot. Right down the middle through low point. This is a perfect run for Kendall Wessenberg. She can cross the finish line with a 52.6. 52.6. Taking over the top spot. Combined downtime 1 minute 40.62. Let's recap. After 2 heats, your unofficial top 6. In 6th place, we've got Shalonda Terry, United States of America. She had a 1 minute 42.94. In 5th, Laura Vargas of Colombia with a 1 minute 42.88. In 4th, Wan Shouwang of China with a 1 minute 42.41. In 3rd, Isabella Fastnage of Great Britain with a 1 minute 41.88. In 2nd, Kelly Delka of Puerto Rico, 1 minute 41.07. And unofficially, your leader at this time, Kendall Wessenberg, with a combined downtime 1 minute 40.62. Attention, athletes, coaches, officials, and spectators. There'll be a brief pause in sliding. We'll resume sliding at 12:40. That's in 15 minutes. 15-minute warning to our Forerunner sleds. a 10-minute warning. 10-minute warning to our first of 2 4-runner sleds. 10-minute warning. So 5-minute warning. 5-minute warning to our first 2 4-runners. 5-minute warning. 2-minute warning, 2-minute warning to our first of 2 4-runner sleds. 2-minute warning. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for our first of 2 4-runner sleds. Sledding track from the skeleton start. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for our second and final 4-runner sled. Sledding track from the skeleton start. That's our second and final 4-runner sled in the track. Attention spectators trackside. Just a few safety reminders. Please no climbing on or leaning over any fence or barricade that surrounds the track. No throwing objects at or around the track. The metal grates and wooden decks that surround the track are not for spectating. No spectating on the wooden decks or metal grates that surround the track. Most importantly, never enter the track surface for any reason, for your safety and the safety of the athletes. Enjoy your time here at the Utah Olympic Park. It's going to be a 2-minute warning. 2-minute warning for our first competitive sled. Tyler Nadel, 2-minute warning. The track is now clear at the skeleton start. Tyler Madel. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Oren Milstein, stand by please. We've taken our top 25 from Heat 1, reverse order by rank. For Heat 2, Tyler Madel first on the ice. Sliding for the United States of America. Start time 4:91. 4:91. Last run, he did a 51.64. You looking to match that? 78.3 miles an hour. Slides, hugging that slider's right through the 10-11 straightaway. Really high out of 11. Really high out of 11. Puts him into the wall before curve 12. He's got it under control out of Dinger, curve 13. Small bump, sliders are right out of curve 14. Across the finish line with a 51.63. 51.63. Combined downtime for Tyler Madel, 1 minute 4:3.27. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Oren Milstein. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Dylan Burris, stand by please. The track sliding for Israel. We've got Oren Milstein. Start time 5:10. He needs a 51.77 to hold on to his position, not drop a spot. Currently 700ths behind that pace. Last run, he did a 51.50. He needs a 51.77. Now 200ths ahead of the pace. Got some speed going into the labyrinth, 79.8 miles an hour. Good line through the 10-11 straightaway. Now 2/10ths ahead of the pace, out of 11. Good line out of 12, now into 13. Almost a half second ahead of the pace as he exits curve 14. Good line up into 15. Crossing the finish line 50-70, 57-0 for the Israeli athlete. Warren Milstein, combined downtime 1 minute, 4.220. Track is now clear at the skeleton start for Dylan Burris. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Sebastian Rainier, stand by please. Dylan Burris in the track representing the United States of America. Start time 4.86. He needs a 58.6 to hold on to his position. He's currently 45 hundredths ahead of that pace. Warren Milstein put up an impressive second run with that 50.70. Last run, Dylan Burris did a 51.34, so he needs to beat that by quite a bit. 58.6 is the time he needs to hold on to his position. He's 4 hundredths ahead of that pace headed into the lower loop. Nice line out of 11, 12, 13, but he's back now. He's back 6 hundredths, 78.8 miles an hour. Good line through low point. Going to cross the finish line with a 51.43. 51.43 puts him back in second with a combined down time of 1 minute, 4.277. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Sebastian Rainier. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Kevin Heng Lee, stand by please. Sebastian Rainier sliding for Team Canada. Start time 4.67. 4.67, that is a fast start time. Puts him almost a second ahead of the pace. He makes his way down through 1, 2, 3. He needs a 59.6 to hold on to his position. About 9 tenths ahead of that pace. Last run he did a 51.24. Needs a 59.6. Hold on to his position. Still about 9 tenths of a second ahead of that pace. Comes out of curve 13, now 14. Good line dragging his right toe through low point. Climbing curve 15, crosses the finish line with a 50.10. 50.10, 50.10. Combined downtime 1 minute, 4.134. We have a new leader, Sebastian Rainier of Canada. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Kevin Heng Lee. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Nick Brooks, stand by please. Kevin Heng Lee, sliding for Chinese Taipei. Start time. Kevin Heng Lee, he's currently behind the pace by 62 hundredths of a second. Comes out of curve 12, now 13. Excellent line as he crosses the finish line, 51.29. It's going to drop him back to third place at this time. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Nick Brooks. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Tyler Lutz, stand by, please. In the track, sliding for the United States of America, we have Nicholas Brooks. Makes his way down through 1, 2, 3. He needs a 53.9 to take over the top spot. 53.9. Currently half a second behind that pace. Sebastian Rainier put up that quick 50.10 for his second run. That combined downtime is the 1 minute 4:1:34. That is the current time to beat. Excellent line out of 14. Going to cross the finish line with a 55.5. 55.5 puts him in second place with a combined downtime 1 minute 4:1:50. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Tyler Lutz. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Dane Densley, stand by, please. In the track, sliding for the United States of America, we've got Tyler Lutz. Good line as he heads into curve 3. Small tap, sliders right out of curve 3. He needs a 54.3. 54.3 to hold on to his position. He's 1500ths ahead of that pace. Heads out curve 6, now 7. Excellent line down through 7. Going through the 10-11 straightaway, he's 200ths behind the pace. Little late out of 11, puts him into the wall early into curve 12. Now 1600ths behind that pace, behind the pace, as he slides out of curve 14. Crossing the finish line, 51.00, 51.00. It's going to put him in third place at this time. The combined downtime of 1 minute 4:1:91. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Dane Densley. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Jonathan Yaw, stand by, please. Track representing Great Britain, we've got Dane Densley. Makes his way through 1, 2, now into 3. Small tap, sliders right out of curve 3. It's 4100ths ahead of the pace. He needs a 54.6. 54.6 to take over that top spot. Knock out Sebastian Rainier. Sebastian Rainier has climbed several positions with that 51.10 he had for his second run. That's going to be the combined downtime to beat 1 minute 4:1:34. Dane Densley coming out of curve 13. He's now ahead of the pace by half a second as he comes out curve 14. Small tap right before the finish line. But a great run, Kane Densley. Downtime 49.67. 49.67. Going to put him in the top spot at this time with a combined downtime of 1 minute 45.5. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Jonathan Yaw. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Jeff Bauer, stand by, please. In the track, sliding from Malaysia, we've got Jonathan Yaw. Right into curve 3. Good line out of 3 into Sunny, curve 4. 2200ths behind the pace. He needs a 49.77. 49.77. Last run, he did a 57.8. 57.8. Quarter second behind that pace, the 49.77. Good line out of 12, now into 13. Small bump out of curve 14. Across the finish line with a 49.99. 49.99 puts him in second unofficially at this time. Kane Densley jumps one more spot. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Jeff Bauer. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Chung Hung Chang, stand by, please. Jeff Bauer sliding for Luxembourg. Takes to the ice. Good line out of 1, now into 2. He needs a 50 seconds flat. Needs to go 50 seconds flat to hold on to his position. Last run, he did a 55.5. 55.5. He's currently half a second behind the pace. Coming out of the labyrinth. Good line through the 10-11 straightaway. 8200ths behind the pace coming out of 13. Drops his left toe, enters 14. Good line through low point. Get across the finish line with a 59.2. 59.2 kicks him back to 4th place at this time. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Chung Hung Chang. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Massimo Artizzoni, stand by, please. In the track, sliding for Chinese Taipei, we've got Chung Hung Chang. Makes his way out of curve 6. He's quarter second behind the pace. Now in 7. He needs a 50.05. Hold on to his position, a 50.05. Get across the finish line with a 54.9. 54.9. Combined downtime 1 minute 49.9. Puts him in third place unofficially at this time. Chang. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Massimo Artizzoni. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Quasi Frimpong, stand by please. In the track representing Canada, Massimo Artizzoni makes his way through Cutthroat, now into curve 6. He needs a 50.06 to hold on to his position. He's currently a tenth of a second ahead of that pace. Last run, he did a 54.9, so he needs to beat that and do a 50.06. Hold on to his position. Nice line out of 13. Do a little drop out of 12. 500ths behind the pace now, coming out of Slingshot. And across the finish line with a 52.8. 52.8 puts him in second with a combined downtime 1 minute 47.7. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Quasi Frimpong. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Mark Lynch, stand by please. Quasi Frimpong in the track, sliding for Ghana. Makes his way off the ramp. Good lines through 1, 2, now out of 3. He needs a 52.6, to hold on to his position, and he's a quarter second ahead of that pace. Last run, he did a 52.9, so he's got to beat that with a 52.6. Take back over that top spot. Excellent line going through the 10-11 straightaway. Still about a quarter second ahead of the pace. Goes through the Olympic curve. Nice lines through 12, 13. Still about a quarter second ahead of the pace. Beautiful exit out of 14. This is an excellent run for Quasi Frimpong. Crossing the finish line, 49.87. 49.87, we have a new leader. Quasi Frimpong. Combined downtime, 1 minute 40.16. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Mark Lynch. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Lawrence Bostock, stand by please. The tracks representing Canada, we've got Mark Lynch. He needs a 49.97. 49.97. Hold on to his position. He's currently 500ths behind that pace. Makes his way through the labyrinth curves. Excellent line through the 10-11 straightaway. Now 400ths behind the pace. 200ths now. Good line out of 12, 13. Still 200ths behind the pace. He needs some speed out of slingshot. 400ths behind the pace. He climbs the final curve of the track, crosses the finish line with a 50.07. 50.07, combined downtime 1 minute 40.26. Puts him in second at this time. Track is now clear at the skeleton start. Lawrence Bostock. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Lin Wei Peng, stand by please. Lawrence Bostock sliding for Great Britain in the track. Good lines through 1, 2, 3. He needs a 50.09. 50.09 to take over the top spot. He's 0.4 of a second ahead of that pace. He heads through Cutthroat, now Snowy. Good line out of Snowy. Into the labyrinth curve. Lawrence Bostock still ahead of the pace by half a second now. Excellent exit out of curve 11. Through the Olympic curve. Now Dinger. Dropping his left foot out of Dinger. Good line through 14. 6600ths ahead of the pace. Crossing the finish line 49.40. 49.40 gives him a combined downtime 1 minute 39.47. New leader Lawrence Bostock, Great Britain. Track is now clear at the skeleton start. Lin Wei Peng. Sled in track from the skeleton start. Brad Nichols, stand by please. Lin Wei Peng in the track representing Chinese Taipei. He needs a 49.41. 49.41. Take over the top spot. He's 0.3 behind that pace coming out of curve 6. Last run, Lin Wei Peng at a 50.06. 50.06. So he needs to beat that. 49.41 is the time to beat. Excellent line out of 12, 13. Still behind the pace by 0.6 of a second. How far will he fall? How far will he fall? He's going to cross the finish line with a 51.6. 51.6, that's going to put him in third place at this time. 51.6, combined downtime, 1 minute 40.22. Track is now clear at the skeleton start for Brad Nickel. Sled and track from the skeleton start. Jared Firestone, stand by, please. Representing the United States of America, we've got Bradley Nickel on the ice. He needs a 49.74. A 49.74. Hold on to his position. Currently 1500ths ahead of that pace. Goes through Sunny, Cutthroat, then Snowy. Excellent exit out of Snowy and into the Labyrinth. 7, 8, 9, 10. Right down the middle through the 10-11 straightaway. 1400ths behind the pace now as he exits curve 12. Got a good line out of 13. He comes up to 14. Good exit out of 14. About a quarter second behind the pace. Across the finish line with a 49.98. 49.98. Going to put him unofficially in second at this time. Brad Nickel, United States of America, combined down time 1 minute 39.71. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Jared Firestone. Sled and track from the skeleton start. Matthew Alvarez, stand by, please. The track sliding for Israel. We've got Jared Firestone. He's looking for a 49.74. 49.74. Going to put him in that top spot at this time. As he comes out of curve 6, he's 100th ahead of the pace. Into the Labyrinth. 200ths behind the pace now. Hugging sliders right through the 10-11 straightaway. He's now back by 0.2 of a second as he hits the Olympic curve. Good line out of Dinger. Still back about 0.2 of a second. Where's that going to put him? Going to get second. Climbs the final curve. He's going to cross the finish line with a 49.88. That puts him in second with a combined downtime 1 minute 39.61. Your leader is still Lawrence Bostock. He had that fast 49.40. A combined downtime of 1 minute 39.47. That's going to be the time to beat. 1 minute 39.47. The track is now clear at the skeleton start. Matthew Alvarez. Sled and track from the skeleton start. Now King Yu, stand by, please. In the track, sliding for Great Britain, we've got Matthew Alvarez. He needs a 49.91. A 49.91. Take back that top spot from his teammate, Lawrence Bostock. Last round, he did a 49.56. 49.56. Currently ahead of the pace by half a second. Makes his way through the Labyrinth curves. Out of 11. Now into the Olympic curve. Excellent line out of 12 and 13. Still about half a second ahead of the pace. Coming out of 14. Right down the middle through the shady thicket. Crossing the finish line with a 49.49. New leader, Matthew Alvarez. Combined downtime 1 minute 39.05. Track is now clear at the skeleton start. Now King Yu. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Nicholas Timmings, stand by please. The track sliding for China. Now King Yu makes his way down through 1, 2, now 3. Good line out of 3. He was right on that slider's right short wall. I think he was able to keep it off the wall. He needs a 49.50. 49.50. He's currently a quarter second behind that pace. Comes out curve 9. Excellent line through the 10-11 straightaway. Just dropping his left toe slightly as he enters into curve 11. Good line through the Olympic curve. Now Dinger. Still about a quarter second behind the pace. Gonna need some speed out of Slingshot. Climbing the final curve of the track. 22 hundredths behind the pace. He crosses the finish line with a 49.74. 49.74. Gonna put him in second at this time with a combined down time 1 minute 3.929. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Nicholas Timmings. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Jacob Salisbury, stand by please. The track sliding for Australia, we've got Nicholas Timmings. We're down to our final 5 sliders for Heat 2. These were the fastest sleds from Heat 1. Nicholas Timmings on the ice. He needs a 49.68. A 49.68. Take that top spot. 49.68. He's 15 hundredths behind that pace. Comes through the 10-11 straightaway. Now only 2 hundredths behind the pace. He's got some serious speed coming out of curve 11. Now neck and neck with our current leader, Matthew Alvarez. He needs a 49.68. 49.68. He's now 2/10 ahead of that pace. Crosses the finish line with a downtime of 49.33. 49.33. Combined downtime 1 minute 3.870. New leader, Nicholas Timmings, Australia. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Jacob Salisbury. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Lucas Defiat, stand by please. The track representing Great Britain, we've got Jacob Salisbury. Makes his way through 3, now into 4. Excellent line into 4. He needs a 49.45. 49.45. Take back that top spot. Currently, 4/10 of a second ahead of that pace. Good line into the 10-11 straightaway. Huggins sliders right into curve 11. 3/10 ahead of the pace out of 12. Good line out of Dinger. He hits Slingshot. He's 3/10 ahead of the pace. Now only a quarter second. Now 2/10. Crossing the finish line, 1/10 ahead of the pace. 49.34. 49.34. Combined downtime 1 minute 3.859. 3 sleds remain for Heat 2. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Lucas Defiat. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Wingang Yan, stand by please. Representing France, we've got Lucas Stifiet on the ice. It's through 2. Small tap before curve 3. Hugging that sliders right out of 3. He needs a 49.41. 49.41 to take that top spot. He's 1,500ths behind that pace. Comes out of curve 6. A little bit of trouble coming out of 2 into 3. That might cost him a little bit. He's now a 10th behind the pace going through the 10-11 straightaway. Excellent line out of curve 11. He's now only 800ths behind the pace into Dinger. Now only 500ths. Will it be enough to take over that spot? Small brush, sliders right coming out of 14. Get across the finish line with a 49.27. 49.27. It's enough to take back that top spot with a combined downtime 1 minute 3.845. The track is now clear at the skeleton start for Wingang Yan. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Andrew Whittier, stand by please. The track sliding for China. Wingang Yan heads down through curve 2, now 3. He needs a 49.51. 49.51. Last run he had a 48.94. Excellent line through Cutthroat. Coming out of curve 6, he's 6/10ths ahead of the pace. There's only a 100th difference between Yan and Andrew's first run. 100th difference. Wingang Yan looking to put up fast second time here in the second. Still 6,500ths ahead of the pace. Get across the finish line with a 48.87. 48.87. That's the fastest run we've seen so far in our men's skeleton race number 5. Wingang Yan, combined downtime 1 minute, 3.781. Track is now clear at the skeleton start. Andrew Whittier. Sledding track from the skeleton start. Bringing down the final sled for Heat 2, North America's Cup, race number 5, Andrew Whittier. He was our fastest sled from run 1. Makes his way down through 3, now into 4. He needs a 48.88. 48.88 to take the top spot. 300ths behind that pace. He heads through 7. Be a little bit of trouble into 7. Nice clean line through the 10-11 straightaway. He's a quarter second behind the pace. Comes out of 12. Now 13. 400ths, 4/10ths back. Now 5/10ths, half a second back. How far is he going to fall? He's going to cross the finish line with a 49.49. 49.49. That's going to put him in second place at this time with a combined down time 1 minute 3.842. Your unofficial top 6 at this time. In 6th place, we've got Matthew Alvarez of Great Britain for 1 minute 3.905. In 5th, Nick Timmings of Australia with a 1 minute 3.870. In 4th, Jacob Salisbury of Great Britain with a 1 minute 3.859. In 3rd, Lucas Stifiet with a 1 minute 3.845. He's from France. In 2nd, from the United States of America, we've got Andrew Whittier with a 1 minute 3.842. And in first, after 2 heats, Win Gang Yan of China with a combined downtime 1 minute 3781.